Hi, everybody. Eric Prospero here with the Microlearning Podcast, and I'm talking to Rance Greene. Now, I'm very excited because today's concept is actually going to be tied to storytelling. Now, I know I'm a bit biased, but I tend to believe that vehicle is the best medium for storytelling, but I'm very curious to see what Rance says. I'm okay to be proven wrong. But with that being said, let me jump into this conversation. And really, Rance, I just would like you to start with a brief intro and what inspired this book, Instructional Story Design.
That's a great question. Instructional story design has kind of a lifelong kind of history behind it because my education is in theater. And so a lot of my education was spent writing, directing, and acting in stories. And fast forward quite a bit. Well, fast forward to graduate school, and I went to graduate school for a master's degree in choreography. You're like, whoa, what are you doing now in the corporate world? And why are you here? When I landed in corporate, Eric, I brought all that storytelling with me. And so when people were looking for, engaging training, and I delivered something that was story-based, jaws kind of dropped. People were like, what? This is really unique. We're training on a very serious topic here. It could have been, information security, or it could have been compliance or privacy. But what they found was that they were connecting with these stories, with these characters, with these situations, and that people were remembering it for a really long time. So as I started sharing this work that we were doing in corporate, with the general learning and development world, my colleagues wanted to know, how do you do that? How do you create a story for training? And so I decided to, give it a shot and do a workshop. So I did a workshop. I had 22 people at the first online workshop. And what I discovered during that time was that people actually gravitated to this methodology that I teach, which is called story design, instructional story design. And they went out and did it. And they transformed their training programs. So out of that experience, then I started doing more workshops and finally decided, maybe I should write a book about this to get the word out even more. Because what really drives me is humanizing the workplace. And if I can help talent development professionals do that, then that's what really drives me. So I'm excited that the book has done very, very well. And that ATD Press is, finding that it's one of their best sellers. Super, super happy about that, because that means that more and more people are beginning to tell stories and train with them.
No, I'm definitely excited about that. I know we happened to run across you at the ATD conference, and it sounds like you're going to be there the following year, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
And you can guess what I'm going to be talking about.
It's not choreography, is it?
No, but I might have to integrate some of that. Make it a little more interactive.
Cool. No, I know for this podcast, we typically like to focus on one key focal point for the audience, right? What's one major takeaway you'd want the learners to walk away with?
Yeah. So let me speak first of all to learning and development leaders. Learning and development leaders in particular, one of the key takeaways from this book is that you must know who your audience is. Now, that's very true for designers and developers. They need to know who their learning audience is. But for leaders within learning and development departments, you need to know who your stakeholders are. You need to know who your subject matter experts are. You need to know who your senior leaders are. All of these people that you communicate with as a representative of the learning function of the business. If you know who your audience is, you'll be in a much better position to consult in the business, not just take training requests.
No, that definitely makes sense. And one of your key principles to the book was developing authentic and relatable characters. Now, what type of impact do you see this has with the trip? What type of impact do you see this having on actual training?
This goes back, so creating relatable characters goes back to knowing who your audience is. So if you know who your audience is, what they're struggling with, if you know what their current circumstances are at work, if you know how they are reacting to those circumstances, you can create characters who are struggling with very similar things. Characters that have the same external pressures as that your learners are feeling. Characters that make your learning audience say, hey, I get these people. If your characters aren't relatable, you'll lose your audience. So creating those relatable, authentic characters for a training story is so pivotal. Is so pivotal because your learning audience is going to immediately say, yep, I know who these people are, or they've got this all wrong.
I definitely appreciate the time today, Rance. Thank you again for the wonderful call, and have a great day.
Thank you, Eric. You too.
If you want to continue learning about microlearning best practices, be sure to subscribe to our channel, The Microlearning Lab by Ninjatropic. We'll keep sharing the latest tips, tricks, and techniques to help you get the most out of your training programs.